1919, April 27, 2025. Right now marks 1008 hours of progress in global horror simulation. Finally, 3D models are being presented correctly between Blender and DirectX, with the textures being applied properly. Now, the reason this was so difficult and took so many hours is that the original method for aligning the UVs between DirectX and the FX SDK was actually wrong. So what that looked like was this thing with the inverting the Y value, but that's actually completely wrong, and it was thought to be right because it centered the textures on each of the faces with no problems. So see, all the textures are centered, and what's going on there is that 3D model uses a texture atlas, and that's a way of assigning multiple textures to one file. So instead of like having multiple different files, it just takes in the UV coordinates of them, which is what texture coordinates are, just basically point in the texture, and it's easy to get things rendered on DirectX with that because the model only needs to have one texture applied, so you can just slap the model or the texture onto the model, wrap it, and then everything will appear as it should. Now, this is appearing wrong because of that Y value inverted, and this is some information that was picked up randomly online, and it doesn't appear to be right for texture atlas because see here, what is occurring with that is that the 2 is on the bottom, the 3 is sort of inverted in the wrong way, it's on the right side, 4 on the left side, and I'm trying to figure out what to make them go up and down. Yeah, so basically this sort of inverts everything, and that's known to be wrong because that top should not be facing that way, as it is the other way. So basically what that does is invert the geometry, it mirrors it, and the problem was actually trying to figure out why things are being mirrored, and it was actually thought that it was a problem with it being the coordinate system, because Blender has a right hand coordinate system and DirectX has a left hand one, and it was thought that that was the issue, but apparently not. The vertices and the left hand coordinate and right hand coordinate system don't really affect anything as long as the UVs are properly trapped and taken care of. Well, perhaps they did, but in this case, this render didn't until this solution was, so basically that doesn't work. So just get rid of that, and for whatever reason, 0.3 works, and that was after several hours of trial and error and doing some things, trying to invert the x's, y's, and z's here and try to flip the model view projection matrix, and that caused all sorts of random errors with the UV texture, so none of that was right. And finally, this is the solution that works, which was just a mistake early on. So everything appears to be centered, and it's actually known to be the closest solution yet, because right here 4 is lower than 6, and looking at that in Blender on the actual texture, it's exactly the same way. So looking here, the 4 dots are lower than the 6 side dots right now, so, and to the left of that is 1, and just, yeah, so there's 1, so this is the best of all, and to the top of that should be 3, yeah, so that's 3 in the same way. So now that this random fix has been added, models can be accurately loaded now. The intention going forward is to try and rotate this so that it looks the same way it's rotated in Blender by default. So the hard part was just figuring out what was wrong with the textures, which was manipulating the UVs wrong. But now the intention is to sort of flip it around. Now this needs to be flipped because right now it's upside down, so the idea would be to do whatever maybe the opposite of that is, and maybe that will end the not that, then try some other stuff with it until it actually works. Yeah, so that didn't work, so yeah. Oh wait, what's sort of that? It's backwards. So one thing that could be done is to just invert the forward in Blender of the 3D model so that that face is coming this way and the 6 face is backwards. Maybe that one is the solution, but anyway, this does look to be accurate now. So the intention going forward is to, now that models can be properly loaded in and known the textures are applied, is to create a custom model view projection matrix for different classes such as vector, quaternion, and matrix in order to follow along with some 3D physics tutorials as they use their own custom formats, but those matrices are sometimes in renders that are right-handed, and so for DirectX it needs to be left-handed, so do that and then follow along and then implement 3D physics and then go from there.